everyone, it's Gary Bailey here. Man, I found some gold footage from Ascot Park, California, 1969. Well, my brother Bob and I put together a motocross course inside of a stadium, probably the first one in the US. Yep, this was before the LA Coliseum that they claim was the first, but I don't agree with that. Heck, we tried to get the AMA to sanction our event, and they wouldn't do it. Yeah, they had some reasons. They said, well, you can't run a motocross inside of an enclosed area, and the track needs to be 20 feet wide everywhere. And well, it's just not motocross, so no, we can't sanction your event. Oh, and I forgot to mention, they also said that motocross is natural terrain, and that's not natural terrain. Thought I'd throw in this interesting little clip that was posted in Cycle News by Chuck Clayton as to part of the reasons that the AMA would not sanction our event. Well, when I laid out the track, I tried to use every possible inch of it. We had some challenges because there are a lot of walls for the quarter mile and the half mile, and so I decided to use those to jump on and over and off of, which worked pretty well. One of the biggest challenges, I wanted to use the and go over the outside wall for the half mile, but there was fencing out there, and there was only about 12 feet between the fencing and the wall itself. I'd asked them about taking that down, and they said that wasn't possible. So we run through that area up on the top. It was only 12 feet, and that was another issue for the AMA because they require 20 feet wide for a motocross track. I know watching this old footage from 8mm video, no, it's not even video, it's film. The rider in blue on the Husky that you'll see like right there, that's Bill Silverthorne. Bill and I had a lot of good races together, and we're still pretty good friends after all these years. And if you're wondering, the guy that's in the white shirt with the blue sleeves right there, well, it was almost right there, that would be me. And if you missed me the first time, well, I'm the guy that's, second from last off the start. Not very impressed, are you? Well, neither was I. But I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to stay back there for very long because I'm going to make some things happen. Sometimes I'm on my 125 Sacks, and sometimes I'm on my Greaves, the 250 class or the open class. Things were a little different back then. There wasn't as many classes as there are now. As a matter of fact, there was only a junior class and a senior class, and generally the classes were a 100 class, possibly a 125 class, a 250 class, and an open class. Most of the time I would ride two classes and possibly three classes on the same day, which seemed to be a pretty good challenge and give you a nice workout. Seeing as how the senior classes were running 20-minute motos, where the junior classes were running 15-minute motos. Because there were so few classes, that meant that sometimes I only had possibly a 20 to a 30-minute break in between. And when you're riding three classes, remember these are 20-minute motos. So if you're riding three classes, you're riding 3 hours, 1 hour in each class with only a 30-minute break in between. I like doing it because I just didn't like sitting around watching the other guys ride. I went to race, and that's what I wanted to do, so I would ride everything I could possibly ride. Man, it made it easy to decide where you were going to put the jumps because there was a lot of walls that you had to go over. And cross it along that fence, hey, there wasn't much passing going on there, but you could sure set something up for coming down this section right here between the, well, actually we split the lake in two and filled it in so that we could go across the lake. We always had the opportunity to throw a little bit of mud in there too, which back in the day, that was kind of a cool thing to do. Today, they don't think it's so cool anymore. But you certainly had flat. Oh, look at these guys. Give me a break. Hey, how about third to first in what, 20 feet? Love it. Whoops, maybe I was wrong. That was my buddy Bill Silverthorne just went by, and here I come. I must have just moved up to second place. Well, sounded good anyway that I was going to be in first. Well, with all those starts that I get to do, dadgummit, it's about time I got a hole shot. I got to do this 9 times in the day, so you would think that I'd get a hole shot once in a while, and it sure makes life easier. I love being out front. Just haven't figured out how to do that every single time. Oh, and that guy with the balloons on his head, that's my other buddy, Tim Hart. Yeah, thinking about Tim Hart reminds me the day before this event, I decided to hold a motocross school. And, well, we didn't have pre sign up. And I got there nice and early in the morning. And when I got there, there was a line of cars and trucks with motorcycles and riders waiting to go. Well, we did the sign up. And after about 30 or 40 minutes, we realized that the numbers were getting out of control. When I say out of control, I'm talking about we had already reached 90 riders and there was still a bunch of them waiting. So, what are we going to do? I had to first get on the phone, call my buddy Tim Hart, because certainly wasn't going to handle that all by myself. And I asked the rest of the riders that had already signed up, I said, hey, do you want to let these other guys in? I think we ended up with 108 riders, which was a little bit over the top, but hey, everybody had a good time. There was a little demonstration, question and answer session, and from there, everybody got to ride each section of the racetrack a little bit, maybe a few more questions, move on to the next section. Everybody was happy. And my boy Silverthorne gets another good start. Man, I think I need to work on that part a little. I usually got up there and was able to race with him, but man, I had a lot of work to do. Didn't make my life easy on myself. For being inside of a stadium on a man-made track, this was really kind of fun. And actually, we had a pretty long track inside of there. I don't know who this guy is out in front of me in first place that got to start, but that's me right there in second. And I believe right behind me, I believe that's Lars Larson. Lars came over here from Sweden, first of all, to help with the promotion of Husqvarna's and also to race. Lars and I had a lot of really good races. In fact, when he first came over here, it took me forever to beat him because that was the time when the Europeans were dominated over the Americans. And those guys were definitely faster. It took me a while to figure it out, but I remember the first time I beat him, it was like winning some kind of a championship because he was definitely quicker when he got here than we were. Oh yeah, and there's my whoop-de-doos. Check out those telephone poles. They wouldn't let us dig down in the ground at all. So what I basically did was kind of just scrape the ground up a little bit and half buried those telephone poles. And I said, well, there's my whoop-de-doos. Well, as a matter of fact, I didn't say there's my whoops because back then there was no such thing as whoops, or we didn't know it. I actually called them stutters, stutter bumps. I don't know, whatever that meant. Sounded good to me. When I hear riders today and they complain about the tracks and they complain about their suspension, I think about back when we used to ride these bikes, and it was crazy. We didn't have suspension. We still had to go off some decent sized jumps, and obviously we didn't go as fast, and the motorcycles didn't have as much horsepower as the bikes do today. But it was still a challenge back then, and it was a lot of fun. Well, I hope you enjoyed my little blast from the past entertainment of the things we used to ride. Well, I didn't want to put any stupid music to this, and there was no sound to it, so I hope y'all enjoyed it. And a big thanks to Brother Bob, who did most of the work and put this whole thing together as I was doing a lot of racing and traveling and offered what I could, track layout, little assistance here and there. But Bob, good job.